Hey, would you mind trying this new mantle? Sure, I can't see why not. Is there supposed to be like a burning sensation? Take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off! Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, one of the interesting choices of returning features in Monster Hunter Wilds are mantles as part of the specialized tool system. This first showed up in Monster Hunter World and its Iceborne expansion, but didn't return in Rise and Sunbreak, which led most people to assume that it wouldn't be becoming a sort of mainstay of the series as a result. But now it has come back once again in Monster Hunter Wilds with a number of changes to how it works, both as far as equipping the mantles and how they actually function, and of course to the mantles that we have to begin with. So today we're going to talk about the 5 mantles that are currently in Monster Hunter Wilds, when and how you get them for those who haven't yet, and what exactly they do, with notes that of course there will be some slight story spoilers to describe when the unlocks happen if you still haven't done the whole story progression of the game yet. First up then is the Ghille Mantle. This is the one that you start with by default, and you will always have this available, as you can't change it out for a different mantle. It will always be equipped. You essentially have 2 mantle slots in Monster Hunter Wilds, but one of them is forced to be Ghille. Ghille Mantle makes monsters lose sight of you when you equip it. Think of it like an immediate emergency stealth button. This makes it great for emergencies, like moments where you're sort of super low health, or maybe you need to sharpen your weapon in the middle of a zone, or maybe you're out of potions and you need to do some crafting, so you just want 5 seconds of peace without the monster breathing down your neck, and Ghille Mantle is perfect for exactly that. It's also great for letting you just sort of hang out and watch monsters that would otherwise be hostile and aggressive on sight, and an important note is that if you are hunting solo and use the Ghille Mantle, sometimes you'll be able to get another sneak attack in on the monster when you do this. This is bonus damage in itself, of course, but it is also a fun bonus way to activate the sneak attack skill outside of the normal times that you'd be able to use that mechanic. I'm not sure why this feels inconsistent with Ghille Mantle, like sometimes when using the mantle I can get a sneak attack in on the monster and sometimes I can't, so if any of you know what's going on there, please feel free to let me know in the comments. But other than that, mostly Ghille Mantle's main use is just sort of as an emergency defensive measure. The Ghille Mantle's effect lasts up to 2 minutes, ending early if you use an attack or take any damage, and it has a recharge time of 5 minutes or 300 seconds after the effect ends. Second then, we have the Rocksteady Mantle. This is unlocked after your first hunt of New Udra, the apex of the oilwell basin, and this mantle, while active, gives you a 30% damage reduction from incoming attacks, as well as making you immune to knockbacks, flinches, roars, tremors. Basically, you can just ignore the actual physical moveset of anything that the monster does, though you can still be stunned or get statuses and blights, stuff like that. This is mostly used to just sort of brain off, power through, and use your strongest combos against a monster while it can't knock you out of them, and for meteor weapons that struggle to find openings for the biggest attack, this can be a really big damage increase as a result. But it's important to note that while being immune to flinches can increase your damage uptime, it's sort of like being able to feel pain in your human body. The flinches exist to help keep you safe as much as they do to keep you from immediately obliterating the monster, because when you get knocked down to the floor by an attack, you become immune to damage for a moment afterwards. So if you ignore the flinch from a monster's biggest attack using Rocksteady and take 90% of your health in damage while wearing it, it can be immediately followed up by the monster for another attack, which could just be a kill because you won't be on the floor immune. Rocksteady is a powerful offensive tool, but it also requires you to have at least a little bit of care to avoid having it backfire. Rocksteady is a powerful offensive tool, but also requires care to not have it backfire. Rocksteady Mantle itself lasts for 90 seconds of use by default, but you do lose about 10% of that duration every time you are hit while using it. So you lose about 8 or 9 seconds of that duration every time that you actually get hit. So realistically, Rocksteady is good for ignoring attacks, but specifically you want to use it to ignore the attacks that are stopping you from landing big damage. You don't just want to turn your brain off and let it hit you through every attack, or else you will just lose part of the uptime. So 90 seconds of use maximum, then it takes 600 seconds to recharge afterwards, which is 10 minutes. Third up then, we have the Mending Mantle, and this comes up after your first fight with Shu Wu in the story, who I need to stop myself from gushing about because this video isn't about Shu Wu, it's about the mantles. And this one is essentially the reverse of the Rocksteady Mantle, in that it is entirely focused around healing you and recovery after being hit, rather than ignoring the incoming damage and the effects of this. This is entirely focused around healing you, and it repairs your health extremely quickly. The first effect with the mantle on is that you get the same effect as when you have red health recovery, but even for non-red health, meaning your health will just slowly increase in general at the standard recovery speed while you're wearing it, but after going 4 seconds without taking damage while wearing the mantle, it will start just recovering your health at the same speed as a mega potion. It isn't exactly instant, but it is the entire bar. It is way more effective than you may have assumed from the healing mantle equivalent in Monster Hunter World. The main thing I think this this is really incredible for is weapons that do a ton of guarding or otherwise use lots of hyper armor attacks, things that will take lots of chip damage over time, but never really want to sheathe and heal manually and might go a few seconds without taking damage as well. But even then, especially in solo play, the cats, the palicos, are really good at keeping those types of weapons topped up with their occasional healing, so this one definitely sees the least overall use among the mantles. The Mending Mantle lasts for 60 seconds and then takes 600 seconds to recharge, which is 10 minutes. Fourth up then we have the Evasion Mantle, and this comes during high rank after you first hunt a frenzied Nerscylla. This mantle is all about avoiding getting hit, so again another directly different playstyle than the others so far. Evasion Mantle increases the amount of iframes you have on your evade, your dodge roll, as well as increasing the actual distance of the roll too, just making your evades essentially better all around. It also has an extra effect where if you dodge an attack from a monster using iframes while it's active, you get a 20% increase to your attack stat for 10 seconds, which is a pretty meaty bonus if you can keep it up and dodge an attack every 10 seconds. This is a solid offensive bonus in itself, and there are multiple weapons that can access strong parts of their moveset immediately after an Evasion Mantle dodge as well as a sort of extra for this too, making it a little bit like Adept style in Monster Hunter Generations for those who have played that game as well. Specifically, after a successful Evasion Mantle dodge, Greatsword can skip to either the second triangle and charge attack combo or strong wide slash. Either attack can be immediately followed up by true charge slash. Longsword gets to skip to Spirit slash 3 by pressing right trigger immediately afterwards, and this would be immediately followed up by the Spirit round slash for a gauge level up. Sword and shield can go directly into Spinning Reaper, which is normally a combo finisher, or Charge Chop with its enhanced damage effect that normally comes after a combo finisher as well, or you can do Evasion Mantle dodge into Spinning Reaper into Charge Chop as well. Hammer gets to press triangle to use Charged Upswing, the normal level 2 charge attack for the weapon. Lance can enter right into a slightly powered up charge counter, and then Gunlance can skip directly to Overhead Smash, which you can then follow by firing off all of your shells in a burst. Then Insect Glaive skips to the second input of the triangle combo after a successful Evasion Mantle dodge. Any weapons that I didn't mention there don't get any special attacks or unique combos related to Evasion Mantle from my own testing at least, but they still get the generic attack boost after a dodge, of course. Overall, the Evasion Mantle is pretty fun, but it requires a specific playstyle to take proper advantage of, and it's definitely better for some weapons than others, so I'd say it's best used when you want to lean into a sort of evasive playstyle. This mantle lasts for 90 seconds, and then the recharge time takes 600 seconds afterwards, which again is 10 minutes. That said, the fifth and final mantle currently in the game is the Corrupted Mantle. This is the one that you will see the most from anyone who wants to do serious damage, and this is unlocked after you first hunt and defeat Gore Magala as one of the final hunts of the high rank story. This is by far the funkiest of the mantles. When you put this on, it will start to drain your health, but you will also gain two main effects. The first is a 10% bonus to your affinity in general, and then some of your attacks will get an extra pop of damage. For the most part, this seems to be the triangle or Y attacks for the weapons to my knowledge, and the amount of damage these extra pops do is unique per weapon, each having their own full-on motion values, and with their own ability to crit based on your affinity as well. For a reference point with Hammer, the damage of the bonus pops is exactly 32.4% bonus of the damage for all of the upswing combo hits, including also for strong spinning upswing from spinning bludgeon as well. If you hit the monster and deal enough damage, and this is about half the amount of damage you have to do to get rid of frenzy for a comparison, and after you've done enough of this damage, you will notice your health stop draining. When this happens, you've reached stage 2 of the Corrupted Mantle. The affinity bonus from the mantle will go up to 30% instead of 10% for the remaining duration, and you will also get a 10% increase to your attack stat for the duration as well, which in turn does also increase the damage of the extra pops on your triangle hits too. Some players thought that this was some sort of bug, the extra hits, but it is definitely intentional as they have their own motion values, and so essentially it's just a part of how Corrupted Mantle works. It is really funky, it makes some weapons broken in ways that weren't anticipated, and it weirdly rewards a playstyle that ignores part of your weapon's kit to focus purely on those triangle inputs to get that extra damage. So essentially I'd say for most people, think of this as a 10 to 30% affinity increase with some bonus damage increase on top of that too. They'll also just give you extra pops of damage, but it is especially strong on any weapon that gets a lot of damage from their triangle inputs, like Longsword especially, I know is just absolutely obliterating with Red Gauge, Crimson Slash while using Corrupted Mantle as an example. That said, the total duration of the mantle is 120 seconds, and then it takes 600 seconds to recharge afterwards, or 10 minutes. Overall, the way that I would list the mantles is Ghille for stealth or sneak attacks, Rocksteady to ignore the monster while you do big long combos, Mending Mantle for pure recovery, Evasion to help you avoid attacks while also giving bonus offense, but the king of specifically offense-focused mantles is by far the Corrupted Mantle, with its consistent bonus affinity and bonus attack once you get that added on, combined with the extra pops of damage is just a sort of cherry on top that is absolutely worth more than the entire rest of the mantle is for some weapons. One final little bonus note worth mentioning too is that until the patch that happened on Monday, mantles were also bugged in a really funky way. Specifically, when having either Rocksteady or Evasion Mantle equipped, you would gain 4% affinity permanently. Like, not just while the mantle was active, like you're literally wearing it, but just having it in your equipment set would give you 4% affinity. It took me about 3 hours to figure it out where this 4% affinity was coming from when I noticed that I had it while testing with no armor on and the most basic possible weapon, and in the end I realized that equipping and unequipping either Rocksteady or Evasion Mantle changed my affinity by 4% for no discernible reason. However, again, this does seem to have been fixed since I first encountered it, but just a funny little bit of bonus information I wanted to bring up about the mantles while we're on the subject. That just about does it for today then, everyone. I hope this helps you out while moving forward in your Monster Hunter Wilds journey, and feel free to leave any of your own thoughts down in the comment section below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.